Great. Thank you everyone for your time. Uh, we have a very interesting discussion topic, which we were all, you know, uh, discussing outside on the metaverse and how, it's really potentially going to drive customer experience, a world of opportunities. Uh, and honestly, on the metaverse, I just don't see implication on the consumer experience, but there are multifolds of its practical use. Um, Somewhere, I think a balance will probably be achieved, for the cost of developing a good metaverse, right? Not a namesake metaverse, to driving a consumer experience for the price they are willing to pay as well. So with that, I will get into the topic. What, it'll be great to hear is how do you see a potential use case in your organization, or how have you seen a potential use case in another industry or another organization which you can probably implement within your organization going forward? Potential good use case of a metaverse opportunities. And while everything would be driving in the direction of consumer experience, but please feel free to explore other use cases of metaverse as well. Deepak, let me start with you on this. This is our second panel for the day together. And you wish it was in metaverse?
Me- So metaverse is a is a very new topic, right? And am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Metaverse is a very futuristic topic. Okay, it came into prominence because some very big billionaire decided he wants to spend $6 billion on it, right? Mr. Zuckerberg. So I think it's not because people want it; it's because some guy has really championed it. That's my personal view, of course. But then you'll say, no, but Elon Musk spent so much money on Tesla, and then electronic vehicles became the norm, right? So good. Let's appreciate people for pushing the envelope. But I don't see, coming back to my industry and metaverse as a concept. I personally don't see a bank building a metaverse, really, because that's, if you have a problem, you want human touch, you go to the branch. That's why it's there. And financial services is a very important part of your life. It's your retirement funds, it's your child's education, so on and so forth, right? So can you dilute it down to a virtual interface? I'm not sure. I don't know. And hence people and banks spend a lot of money building physical infrastructure. It's difficult to manage and so on and so forth to manage that part. What I do believe will happen, and my personal view is, and where banks will participate is, a large innovative organization somewhere will build a metaverse, like someone has built a Twitter or built a Facebook, and brands participate there. So that's my personal view. We will not, I don't think a brand is going to build a metaverse out of scope, because how to generate profit from it is anybody's guess. So, what I do believe, people will get into virtual spaces where they spend a lot of their time and personal time, and they already do in gaming, if you see. And there, I think a brand like a bank or anyone should participate and help. Exact use case, I mean, I understand that like Adidas sells a virtual shoe in some gaming platforms, and people actually buy it, by the way. And you would have seen in news that some kids spend 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees of Papa's credit card on some game. So people do care about gaming in the virtual world, because there's some kid has spent 1.5 lakhs on it, right? So I think we will get there eventually, and when we do, I think financial services will say convert that child spend into EMI or something, something stupid like that. So yeah, so I think it's very far off, but that's what I believe is someone will build a metaverse and brands will participate.
Yeah, a true banker. You've already converted it to EMI. Great. Gaurav, how do you see metaverse potential use case in your industry? And what various other beyond consumer experience, if you have to also delve into, what could be potential use cases for you?
Uh, Thank you for that question. As he just said, no, Adidas made that experimentation. Actually, It was Nike who did it there for sneakers. So similarly, Coca-Cola also did it. They did it for their vending machines
Yeah.
on Metaverse. So when we see these use cases somewhere or the other, we get a feeling that yes, something of this can be replicated in our type of businesses. When I see that, yes, in our kind of business, we wherever we have some kind of interaction with the customers, as you said, human is necessary. Yes, that is of utmost importance. But yes, there will be a section of customers who are not very keen on moving out of their houses and coming to our shops and interacting with us. So anytime they would want to have a look and feel of a shop or of an office where our financial services are being rendered. So yes, in our kind of industry, we can think of some kind of establishments which can run on an immersive experience where the customer walks in and he or she gets to see what kind of office is that, what kind of services are being rendered, what kind of products are being offered there. So I relate to that, and we can see in near future we will see such premises coming up in real world also, wherein people will want to invest, maybe just for an experimentation purpose also. But yes, people will be investing in those kind of setups to give the feeler to the customer, to the end customer. There is a big population which is still uninsured. If I talk about insurance industry where I come from, there's a big population which is still uninsured. What kind of benefits we can give to them? What kind, on which situations we can help them? Like pandemic is just over, so people experience those. It's not necessary that it takes a pandemic to come in 100 year and then that explains the public at large about the importance of investment. We can do that through metaverse. So that's how I can see that.
Actually, it's a valid point. I think today, the next generation, which is, immersed into metaverse in terms of, let's say, games like Roblox or Minecraft or, many of these other potential, metaverses which are there. Um, I think it's a good space for brands to start exploring to familiarize the next gen. Obviously, I'm not talking 12 years, 14 years, but maybe you're all brand heads. You may have a use case there as well to familiarize them with the brand so that when the time comes when they're 24, 23, or they have the first check and, their corporate gives them an option to choose from 4 banks and, they're familiar with your bank and they pick up your bank because that's where the journey is really starting. And eventually that goes into the first car loan, first house loan, first insurance, potential demat accounts, and just a bank example I'm taking. Similarly for you on the healthcare, right? With more awareness being created, uh, corporate programs on healthcare, right? Similarly, how probably, you may want to, Jay, talk about how you may want to explore metaverse to familiarize the next generation with, your brand and what your brand really stands for.
So, from a metaverse perspective, I think so. I could just correlate to a recent movie called Gran Turismo. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. It's about a small child who actually plays PS4, and he then gets onto an actual gaming with the F1 racers, and the way he's visualizing playing an F1 at his home on a PS4 station versus an actual game on a real lab. So that's where I could relate to the metaverse. But from a healthcare perspective, two important key takeaways for consumers from a customer experience standpoint is one is how the blood has been drawn. So, how good is the person or the technician who draws blood. And number two is the information that they receive from a doctor on the blood reports. So this is where I could correlate because while the blood collection is going to be always physical, it cannot get digital. But from a training perspective, it's going to play a very key role because every, I would say, estate or I would say a location would have an expert blood drawing person. Now, how could this person be a brand ambassador from a training perspective to ensure standardization? Can be one of the key areas which I could help our industry. That's number one. And number two is from a doctor perspective, because there are few specific doctors or key leaders, key opinion leaders, who people would like to look up to from a report interpretation standpoint or a consultation standpoint. Now, to have that particular person available everywhere is going to be a challenge. Now, that's where I foresee this particular aspect to replicate and engage with more of our customers from a awareness perspective, self-care perspective.
Yeah. Suraj, if I may ask you on opportunities of virtual monetization in Metaverse, where do you think that's going?
So I think if you look at the way the banking industry has evolved, like we started with traditional banks, traditional branches where we had to visit the branch. Then came the ATMs and net banking, which was the first kind of virtual interface customers went into. Then we entered as a third phase into open banking, wherein API integration started happening with third-party apps, like it can be Google Pay or PhonePe, which can access your bank details and give it to customers. Right now, we are at a phase wherein it's moving into Web3 and blockchain have come into the picture, and wherein it's allowing a fully digitized framework wherein NFT and cryptocurrency have come in. The fifth one, I would say, is Metaverse, which is at a very early stage, but it gives an opportunity to give a virtual storefront to the customers, wherein we would be returning to the same place where we started from. That is the need to visit a branch for interacting with an employee. So right now you can visit a virtual place, a virtual branch, wherein you can interact with the employee and get your, basically you can interact with your relationship manager and get your tasks done or buy a product or a service. So I see there are a couple of use cases that I see. One would be providing human touch or interaction-based services for senior citizens. Because senior citizens have this problem of they cannot visit each and every place. They cannot be at too many places at a time, or even people who are handicapped, they wouldn't be able to visit these places. So providing services through Metaverse to them, it can be financial services, it can be bank also, or any service for that matter. This is one use case. Second would be training, of course. That is the most important one, wherein the training can be, for example, Bank of America has created their own Metaverse and virtual training platform, wherein employees can get into the platform and they can experience what kind of interactions customer do. So there are ready-made lessons wherein they can speak to customers, virtual customers, who ask them different queries, different kind of emotional responses can be seen, so that the employee knows what kind of queries can come to me at a branch and how do I need to react. What kind of reactions can lead to a negative impact on the customer, and what kind of responses can create a positive impact on the customer. So this is a very good training ground, Metaverse, for bank employees. Even it can be for a factory staff, or even can be a good training ground for aircraft or say automobile training. Fourth, I would say, is this allows us to give 24/7 access to banking. Right now, we have 24/7 access in the form of online net banking, etc. But if you want to have 24/7 access to a person who can speak to you and who can resolve your queries, then a Metaverse would be the right thing, wherein anywhere, no matter which part of the globe you are, you can get in touch with your bank, a person to whom you can talk to and resolve your queries or get your issues resolved. So this is what 24/7 access anywhere banking actually comes into place. And fourth, and final one, I would say, is you can have one person for all the products. Right now, if you want to speak to a bank, there would be one person for deposits, one for lending, one for wealth management, one for insurance. Metaverse gives an opportunity to have one person represent all the products because it's an AI based avatar that has been created, and it can help the customer resolve or take any product or any service at the same location. So I think these are the use cases, and the industry is experimenting right now. It's not been adopted at a very high level, but it's at an experimental stage. And I think as more service providers adopt it, banks and financial institutions usually have been they never were early adopters of technologies. They were always been followers. So I would say the industries that would be early adopters would be entertainment, sports, tourism, and real estate. Correct. So, and financial services would be kind of going with them once they adopt these technologies. We would be the participants, and then we would be in a better position to explore.
Valid points, all valid points. Gaurav, I'll come to you in terms of, what do you think are the enablers, lacking right now for the metaverse to explore in terms of tech, infrastructure, skill sets to build, agencies, vendors, brand, interaction to build it into a much larger, realistic, and a feasible model.
See, there are 2, 3 things which comes into mind when we think about metaverse implementation per se. First of all, what is metaverse? There is a lack of information and lack of knowledge right now in the market. People are still searching about it, and people are still finding what will metaverse can do for them. Second, if at all people have understood metaverse, then second thing comes into the place, how will they implement it? Who is offering metaverse? Is it a brick and mortar? No, it is virtual. Who will give it to them? Will the vendor develop it for them, or is it off the shelf, something like that? Or will they go to a tech market and purchase it from there? Second is the availability. Third comes is who will be implementing it. And that's very important because right now, however advanced our engineers have become, they are also still learning about the nuances of this technology. So who will help them to implement that? And fourth, what are the use cases? So finding the use case is one of the most difficult piece here because something as Suraj said that BFS financial sector is one of the laggards. So they will follow what others do. So who will take that first step is still a question in mind. So one thing which comes into mind is, as we just discussed, the gaming industry is using it pretty good. We just discussed about Roblox. Similarly, Fortnite is also using Metaverse. They are selling their merchandise there. And they had some good sale. And I can see kids purchasing very expensive gadgets as well as skins from Fortnite. So I think they are making the best use of metaverse for themselves. But can we copy them? No, because our use case may be different.
Correct.
Our products may be different. Kids may not be our population of purchase. So we will have to search around our customer base. What kind of customers can we target to? So these are some 4 or 5 questions which come to mind when we talk about metaverse. Now, if at all these things fall in place, then as we said, training of those, how people will use it, what will be the best bet on it, because it will be an expensive affair. Right. It's not that we can implement metaverse as it is. So it will be an expensive affair. What ROI will it bring to our businesses? That's also which nobody knows right now. Right. So these are some 4 or 5 basic questions which we have to sort out before we move on to this journey.
Absolutely.
One best use which we have done is on this of creation of holograms. We were also discussing in some other context. So people are using it for building holograms of maybe the presidents or maybe the other dignitaries and maybe the higher officials of the company to talk to the customers. So that may be the first use case of it. How do we communicate to our customers, and how can we give them the feeling that somebody from the company, some respected official or dignitaries are talking to them? That is one thing. Second, the products which we want to offer to our customers, how that those products can be customized based on the customer need. That kind of feeler we can give to the customers as of now, which we can immediately start.
Right.
Yeah, with.
Right. I think there are from the vantage point where we see it. I think there are a lot of technologies which are evolving, and these are all moving blocks for a metaverse. So, for example, today we see that I can create an avatar, right? I can have a Amitabh Bachchan or I can have a Anand Mahindra, talk to their customers in their voice, driven by generative AI, which interacts, based on the questions which come. So it's, the interaction is really not, perceived as a machine speaking, but you can actually feel the person in the true stature, the voice, the demeanor, the personality traits are all built in to drive that, personalized experience. So the example you gave where, the chief minister wants to create a hologram and start reaching out to rural areas where, the citizens won't probably be able to even enter into a mantralaya to go and speak to the chief minister, right? But they are able to, have a experience of a virtual impact, which is not virtual anymore to that limit. But, so I think there are a lot of these technologies which are all happening in pockets. And as you rightly said, that, somebody, and we don't have an answer who, will probably be stitching it together to, to reach a place where a chat GPT equivalent would explode, right? So there would be a metaverse, the whole universe is created. Probably Roblox will be part of that metaverse, and a Nike and Adidas will be part of that metaverse, and that's where probably Bajaj Alliance and a HDFC Bank is also sitting there, where the brand awareness starts to build in, and even monetization. So linking to the virtual to the physical world also will become very critical as well. So whatever is happening there, if a cash is being deposited there, it also reflects in my account in some virtual cash form, right? Uh, so I think it's moving in that direction, and it's also reaching a point where I think a lot of virtual classes, education, training programs, product sampling, especially for the high-end and luxury products like Mercedes or a BMW, is happening through Metaverse, right? And one of the key equipments required is an AR, VR. For a true experience of a metaverse. So a metaverse can't be that I'm logging into my desktop and I'm navigating through a potential exhibition or an airport or a city, because I'm still using a mouse. It's still not giving me the full experience, immersive experience. I'm still in 2D, right? So to a point where infrastructure and these equipments become cheap, easily procured, right? And then, use of internet and use of my existing infrastructure to link, right? So I plug in a USB or a C port going forward at some point where, it becomes as simple for me to now interact. Telephones have moved to video calls. Video calls could eventually move to, two people sitting in front of them in their real avatar and, are having a conversation like two human beings. So I think there are a lot of these use case experiences, but yes, the thing is which brands will take the lead, which technology providers will take a lead, which agencies will take a lead, which manufacturers will take a lead. You never know, made in India, one of the leading manufacturers in India suddenly comes and builds 10 million of AR VR sets, which are available at 500 rupees. Suddenly you'll see, what we saw as internet revolution. All right, suddenly internet became free. Where we used to pay tons and tons for 1 GB data, and now I don't think any of us really think about how many pesas we pay. So that kind of explosion is required for the infrastructure. And you brought out that media entertainment and sports, and I think, without naming it, there are very few potential big houses who can probably take a lead to even take this to the next level, which eventually I think it will happen. Managing time, 2 minutes of closing comments from all of you on the future of Metaverse and the opportunities you really see. Obviously, keeping in mind that the ecosystem and the stakeholder community is in place. How do you see that, Suraj? I'll start with you.
Yeah. I'd say number one, I would look at it from the compliance perspective, because being in an industry which is managed by one of the best regulators, which is RBI, I would say compliance would come first for each of the players. So the compliances on Metaverse would start from what are the KYC related guidelines. If an entire onboarding journey has to be built on the Metaverse, KYC related as well as anti-money laundering related guidelines and fair practices code. That are the primary things that the players would look for if they want to engage. Second would be security related. If I create an avatar for the customer on the Metaverse, what if there is a theft of that avatar and transactions are done? So security related risks. Third one would be the kind of hardware that is being adopted. Because right now, for example, just to give a simple example, right now, if I buy a mobile phone, I get an earphone with it, or I get an earbud with the phone. Will this move to getting a virtual glass with the phone as Metaverse advances? Because then the market would suddenly explode, and every brand would come on Metaverse, because every person is available on the Metaverse. Right now, if I want to go to the Metaverse, the user base is very limited, and people wouldn't feel the Metaverse unless they have the right kind of hardware available with them. Fourth would be 5G adoption. That would create a major impetus to Metaverse, because unless the kind of speed and connectivity is there, Metaverse experience wouldn't be the kind of experience that we would like to deliver. It would be very slow, or it wouldn't be up to the mark. And fifth one would be omni-channel strategy, which is once we have created a Metaverse, connecting it to the real world is also important. For example, I do a transaction on Metaverse and it gets failed, and I'm coming back to the customer service team and asking what happened to that failed transaction, and this guy has no idea what happened on Metaverse with this customer. So connecting the Metaverse with the real world, so that the flow of information of what's happening on the Metaverse is connected, is also important. Otherwise, we would be creating silos wherein customers wouldn't be able to talk to us.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Another dimension added to already existing human physical dimension. Jay, your final concluding thoughts.
My personal thoughts would be, I think it'll be the real estate agencies or the real estate would be the first movers, I personally feel, because it's going to be imperative for them to try and actually showcase a real home that a person would like to select, sitting in Mumbai, bidding for a house in Goa or Pune and other locations. So maybe I feel personally that they could be the first movers to try and take advantage of that. But from a healthcare perspective, as I said, again, it's always going to be physical because you've got to draw the blood. But yes, what's going to help us would be, it's going to give us better reach, a faster reach. It's going to give us a personalized discussion with our customers on their reports or any kind of questions that they have. And the third part would be from a training and a standardization perspective to try and ensure that the way the patients or the customers are treated are standardized across all touch points that we have across India. So these are my three aspects.
Makes sense. Deepak?
So I think I still, the jury is out on what is the best use case, right? Even I'm not sure, but I think one data point that I keep getting told is that if you take the US consumer spends and you take music, spends on movies, and spends on sports, sporting events. Combine that together, the spends on gaming is actually bigger than all those three combined, which is shocking to me, right? So I think people do find this medium very, very valuable, to the point where they spend their actual, real, hard-earned, real-world money on virtual platforms, right? So obviously, I can't deny the fact that even though I can't think of a use case, this is not real, right? So it's very difficult to refute that fact because this data is out there. So I'm hoping that in the future, brands, marketeers, business heads figure out how to give customer service and then get they're rewarded by customers hard-earned money or their trust in these virtual environments. Hopefully it happens sooner than later, because if the consumers want it, I mean, obviously brands would always get there. That's only a matter of time. So yeah, so that's my final thought.
Matter of time, true. Gaurav, your concluding thoughts?
Yeah, so along with the gaming and entertainment industry, any sort of transaction where we can implement a humanless interaction, I think their metaverse will be able to flourish. And when we say humanless, those transactions have to be primarily driven by the user and not by the companies or the establishments. Because once if the users are driving those transactions, they will be more comfortable using the technology. And if the companies are also forcing their way to use metaverse to contact to their customers or to serve their customers, there also actually it has a two-way communication there if we talk about metaverse. Unlike the usual training programs or the catalogs or monologues, unlike that, in metaverse we can actually build those kind of experiences, so that will have those functionality to build the experiences of the customers. So any kind of customer experiences can be built, replicated, and experienced. I think their metaverse will come into the play.
Absolutely. I think, to valid points to quickly summarize everybody's pointers. One of the key drivers of potential use cases for a metaverse opportunity is that my consumer needs to get there first. It will automatically attract the brands to, start reaching out to them. Currently, in the use cases, we are seeing children and we're seeing gaming, not a cohort or a segmentation which the brands want to really reach out to yet. But I think, as, in few years progress and this generation moves beyond 18 years, their metaverse also will evolve beyond Roblox to a next level of a ecosystem which gets created. So I think it's very critical for the brands to also have a head start in their thought process, to be at least be prepared for what comes next. And with the availability of technology and various tech-in tools available at that point of time, how to best use them to quickly deploy your brands out there to at least start creating brand awareness, leading to transactions and leading to probable consumer experience. That's how, we as a collective panel, we see way forward of the opportunities in the metaverse. Dot on time. Thank you, the panelists, for your inputs and this exciting conversation which we had on metaverse, which is, truly metaverse for us also to decode. Lovely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, audience.